Like ved Kanariøyene på Afrikas fastland lærer Europa sine egne kortsiktige interesser gå foran prinsipper om menneskerettighet og fred. Velkommen til SANDFAST, vår podkast om Vest-Sahara, den siste kolonien på det afrikanske kontinent. Hvorfor er det alltid kvinnerne som skal stå på kjøkkenet? Det er jo dessverre vanlige spørsmål i de fleste land i verden, og også i de sahrawiske flyktningleirene. I dag har vi besøk av Minetu Larabas, som er leder av den sahrawiske kvinneunionen. Den jobber både internt i leirene og internasjonalt for å forsvare rettighetene til sahrawiske kvinner. Good morning, Minetu. Thank you very much for joining me today. I am very grateful that you could make the time despite your very busy schedule. I know that you are touring now in Europe.
Thank you very much for having me, Asri.
So, Minetu, we know each other from before. We went to the same university. Just before we go into details regarding the Sahrawi National Union, could you just give a brief summary about who you are, about your background, and how long have you been active in this organization, which is the Sahrawi National Union?
Thank you very much again. As you mentioned, I was born in the refugee camps and live all my life there. My life, I think it's almost the same like many other Sahrawi women, the same. We managed to complete our studies abroad. I studied English literature, then I worked with many international organizations involving in refugee camps, especially in mine action programs, but also in the same time living our duty and our national obligation that I was always engaged with youth union and also later on women union, working with them, assisting in translation, assisting in many other activities. And I think that being a woman and especially living in the refugee camps, we are always involved in all activities of Sahrawi National Union of Women. It is where we really feel that we are able to give something to our case and to our state.
And as you say, I think most people who are listening, Western Sahara issue generally, it's really not that known in Europe or other places, which means that the Sahrawi National Union maybe is not that known either. So could you just explain what is exactly the purpose and maybe a bit of the history or about of the Sahrawi National Union?
The National Union of Sahrawi Women is a civil society organization. It is the Women League of the Polisario Front. It was founded in 1974, only 1 year after the foundation of the Polisario Front, which really illustrates the importance of women and the role they are playing in founding the Sahrawi state, but also later on in the construction and building of all institutions. It is a mass organization working to advocate for women's rights and also integrate women in society, but also to advocate for our rights, legitimate right to independence abroad. And also we have bilateral relations with many women organizations abroad. We do lots of conferences, trainings for women. And yes, in a way, we are really championing women empowerment in the Sahrawi state.
And you said your work on empowering the Sahrawi women. Let's just maybe go into detail on the situation of the Sahrawi women in the refugee camps. What are the challenges of the Sahrawi women generally, both in the camps or in the occupied territories?
Of course, the situation of the Sahrawi women in refugee camps is of course, overwhelmed by challenges and especially given the lack of life conditions. Very hectic living in the desert. Whatever we say about it, it is really very demanding. But in the same time, we can always proudly say that the experience that the Sahrawi women shaped during their stay for this almost now 47 years in the refugee camps, in the exile, they managed to really do a very inspirational transformation to themselves as women, coming from Bedouin society and, to become now women parliamentarians, ministers, and teachers, doctors, and that was not hindering their, ability to make the transformation that give them the trust of the world. And we can always proudly say that we have a high percentage in many fields, and this gives us always priority also in all statistics in the AU, because the Sahrawi Republic is a member of the African Union. Our women in participation and the achievements that they managed to have are very really inspirational. And of course, women also in occupied territories, they are facing a lot of violations, a lot of really, unfortunately, they are suffering in their daily basis without any monitoring to their situation. There is media blockage there, but with all of that, we have also human rights defenders who are women again, and I think that's a peaceful demonstration there, and are led mostly by women. To name few, to Haidar and Ghalia Jimi, and now the heroic work of Sultana Khaya and Al-Wa'ala, and it's a lot of examples of really huge determination and courage that Sahrawi women are given to the world in the occupied territories. I'm really very proud to be Secretary General for National Union of Sahrawi Women, because there are a lot of examples of inspirational stories that I'm always happy to share with the world about my people.
Yeah, and all these stories from the camps or diaspora, it would never happen without the hard work of our mother generations and grandmother generations. We're sitting here speaking English, and this would never happen if my mom and your mom did not take, with their bare hand build the schools. And that's, if you could give more example of even the Sahrawi National Union building is from the camps where I grew up, I was witness to it, as many people, that it's really the women. And I think, especially when we are speaking, people think, it's country North Africa, it's, like these conservatives, or, women are oppressed. And I think maybe you can say more. Most of the guests, when they come to the camps, they are often shocked. And it's often shocked because they come with their own stereotypes or per picture,
Yes. Absolutely. Without the sacrifices of the founding mothers, as we call them in the union, those who really built the institutions, they built the hospitals and dispensaries and schools by their own hands. But also they educated themselves, and they took serious opportunities to learn and to teach other women. And we, as you said, by being Sahrawis, we can break a lot of stereotypes given the situation that we inherit from our culture. And for example, it's criminal to do any kind of domestic violence. And this is something, it's not because of the law that we don't have it, but it is because of our cultures. It's something that we inherit from being Sahrawis. I feel like we are really in a very, very good and comfortable position being Sahrawi women, especially that we have a lot of freedom to decide. We are the only one who decide in the house, honestly. it is you who decide on doing this or that, to do the hospitality for guests the way you want. This is a lot of details that we sometimes take them for granted. But it is real empowerment for women in their family, in their house. And that's what gives us the courage to be what we are here in any other fields outside.
And I mean, Minetu, as you said, there are so many positive aspects that we are and we should be proud of to have. But unfortunately, in any country and culture in the world, even where I'm here and when you are now, there are regretfully some aspects that are concerning when it comes to women's rights. And for example, you talked about we don't have violence domestically. That's what we, have traditionally. But the question is like, what are the main topics domestically within the Sahrawi society that are important to address for your organization? Do you have any example of issues that you work with?
Of course, as you said, in the end, also, we are not a society of angels. And of course, we have a lot of issues also that we are working in our organization to address. For example, you are sometimes supported to work and to do whatever you want. But still, when you come back in the family and in the house, you will find that all the work within the house is waiting for you. The kitchen is named for women. So lots of things that are very hectic for women, and it's unfortunately what's hinder many of them from going out, do any other work, because the responsibility within the family is all huge. To that sometimes not physically, they are not able to do any other thing outside. And despite the good things that I said about the lack of domestic violence and all this, but still any domestic duties are not shared by both men and women. It's all for women to do. If there are elder people sick in the family or any people with special needs, it is the role of women to take care of them, unless there is no women or only one woman or something. But most of the cases, it is women duties to do that. And this also for us, that it is the women who care, the love, and we are tend to be more emotional, more caring. That is something I think biological. We cannot discuss it, but still, if you want to empower women, if you want to give them the chance to be doctors, to be parliamentarians or politicians, you need also to give them a space also, because in the end, this is also things that are demanding.
How do you fight that? Or how do you help women to tackle this? Because it is very overwhelming to be both having 100% work at home, more than 100%, because it's going all the time. And then in addition, you are working, and it's often also voluntary basis. It's not even, paid jobs or...
Of course, what we are trying to do is to do kind of, workshops and open discussions between young people, male and females. We do it with the Scout movement and the Youth Union. So we can bring this discussion on the table. What do you think about, for example, cooking? What do you think? So we try to make it at least in a table, something that we can discuss, and educating these generations to be really helpful, even in the family. Otherwise, it's really very, very difficult. And we realized that this is one of the main causes that hinder women contribution outside the home. It's not fair that men, they do their work, and when they come back, they only sit to wait for tea, to drink tea. They are not the one who are going to make it. No. So, and they will support you to do whatever you want outside, but when you come back, you are the one who are going to clean, to make tea, to cook, and to do whatever. And you cannot complain, because they will tell you are not obliged to go out. If you want, you can sit and do your things. Of course, motherhood and many other things are very sacred, something that we cannot discuss. It's always women's role, but still other domestic duties can be shared by both men and women. And
even parenting can be shared by both. Other issues?
Yes, we can say that. We hope to see more women in politics. We hope to see more women because, yes, opportunities are there, equal opportunities are there. But the issue is that there are some mental barriers that some women think that some decision-making positions are only for men, like that. By being women, they cannot be in those positions. That's unfortunately some things that we want to change. They go to vote, but they will vote only for men, not for women. They don't think that women can fit to be in those decision-making positions. And this is also one of the very difficult things that we are trying to do each time by campaigning before the elections, discussions, conferences, because it's very hard to see a lot of women participation in congresses. They give their votes, but in the end, when it comes to result, it's only most of men who win.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I mean, just to emphasize on that, if you give the picture, because if you go to any room of Congress or meetings, it's overwhelmingly women. And all the activities locally and regionally is women. But then when you go up in the top, then they start to disappear.
Yeah, that's really totally the will of women, honestly, because when you have the laws there before you, when you have the right to vote, when you are asked to be a candidate, there is nothing that can prevent you from doing that. In the end, it is your voice. It's women votes that. Unfortunately, most of them, they don't give it to other women. They prefer to give it to men than women, only because there is this, they think that it's need a man, that's because we are sent to be emotional. We cannot decide on the future. We will be this and that, and it's need a hard, very determined man to be in that position. And we fit only where there is health and education and those, soft institutions. And unfortunately, this is some of the discussions also or issues that we try to address, as I said, by conferences and that dialogues. Still, we are working on that, hopefully. Each time, but honestly, each time we have increase in the percentage of women. For example, now we have 21% of women in the leadership, National Secretariat of the Polisario Front, which is good advancement since the last Polisario Front, and we hope for more. But still, at many others, percentage in the government is very low. The parliament is very advancing. It's very, 34%. It's very good percentage so far. As I said, this is not fair for women, honestly, especially given the real contribution in the ground and the sacrifices also that was made by many women in the past.
We see at the last delegation of the Polisario in the peaceful negotiation that they had a woman. And I think you personally, you are very engaged, and it's very important for you when it's come on this resolution 1325. And it's something that you have been promoting and pushing since you became a leader of your organization.
Absolutely. It's a really very important resolution toward, enhancing women's contribution in peace and security. And one of the real important, things that we're trying to work in our mandates is honestly to link our experience as Sahrawi women to this resolution. Because given our experience and the experience of how Sahrawi women transformed themselves to the role that they are playing now, I think this was really one of the good examples of women contribution to peace, because they built hospitals, they built schools to teach their children, but also there were a lot of good stories of harmony and social solidarities that really keep the refugee camps one of the safest refugees, according to many researchers. And there were a lot of, and still a lot of really good, coexistence living between Sahrawi women. And this is also another example. For example, women were breastfeeding each other children for many years, just to help each other through the difficulties. And I think most Sahrawi are now brothers and sisters because of the milk that they really, most of them, have from neighbors. And this is something that's those are inspirational stories of how women really managed to make solidarity their way through difficulties of being a refugee. And those who are experiencing the refugee for the first time, we are not trying to decorate refugee. It's hard. But still, women can make it different. Women, as you said, now contribution in the decision making, especially that finally we have one woman in 5 members of the Polisario delegation for UN-led peace negotiation. All these examples, we cannot share them unless we are aware of the importance of the resolution 1325. That's what of the things that we are trying to do, make a visibility to this resolution among Sahrawi women, and try to seek any international platforms that this resolution is opening, and for us to share our experience and to link our amazing experience and how women have contributed for many years to prevent their children from radicalization. And people are taking the Sahrawi experience for granted, unfortunately, for we are more than 47 years of exile and our people under the occupation, but there is no terrorist attack that ever committed by Sahrawis. This is all thanks to the peace and the education that we receive from our mothers. And all these are what this resolution is speaking about, and that's what we take it really seriously. And we hope that we will manage to really make our story within the world picture about the women contribution in peace and security.
You have worked, you are on the Sahrawi National Women, but also the part with the landmine that you have been witnessing, yourself, to see women risk their life in a way for landmine clearance. What is the plan next? What is your plan next? What do you hope, for example, that you contribute to the Sahrawi women while you are in the leadership of their organization?
Of course, what we want to and what we aspire for still is to, as I said, to give more visibility to our cause. And of course, we want to empower our women more. We want to have more women in our fields, but still also we really want end to the dilemma of this political dilemma. We want to give in the right to independence and to go back and to live in our free land. That's also because that's the main obstacle toward any other achievements that we try to do as a Sahrawi National Union of Women. A lot of trainings, a lot of workshops of dialogue between men and women. All these things are still something that we aspire for, and we hope to achieve more of it in the future.
Hvis du vil lære mer om konflikten, gå til vest-sahara.no.